I'm Pacyinz Lyfoung. I am going to just say a few words before we start this event. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. All right, this is the official start of this event. Welcome to the What Matters concert and poetry event. As we start this event, I would like to invoke and visualize the dreams that brought this AAPI artistic community together on this particular day. On a beautiful green island of Hawaii, in the middle of a turquoise of the Pacific Ocean, a woman artist has found the land where she will grow delicious, healthy foods and welcome other artists to plant with her the seeds of a better future, both healing plants and healing arts. Across the United States, a group of musicians and artists allies is growing new crops of AAPI musicians who will forge new paths for AAPI music and be actively engaged in community activism that will build fairer and stronger AAPI communities. Spanning 2 continents, a Hmong American family is raising awareness and taking steps to find the remains of their beloved patriarch, who was also an unforgettable Hmong community leader and the highest ranking Hmong minority official in the government of the Kingdom of Laos. Their work will not only bring closure at a personal level, but will also contribute to greater democracy and respect for human rights in the Lao PDR and in the Southeast Asian region. Raising the voices, sounds, and images from their families, original countries, and cultures for Southeast Asian American poets will bring Singaporean American, Indonesian American, Filipino American, and Hmong American arts to the stage. I would like to thank tonight's performers, Korean American musician and poet Ishle Yi Park, also known as Lani Music, Singaporean American poet Hedy Tripp, Indonesian American poet Katherine Antarikso, and Filipino American poet Erme Maula. We would also like to thank the Slants Foundation and the Tuby Lyfoung Foundation, the 2 co-sponsoring organizations for this event, who will be represented by Roy Matsunaga and Lingao Lifong, respectively. Last and not least, I would also like to thank Joe Jiang from the Slants Foundation, who is helping with technical support, and Danny Raju, who is serving as Master of Ceremony. Before I introduce Danny, I would like to share with you a small blessing for this night. I call upon my grandfather Touby to be with us tonight. Today we remember him. May his good heart, his big heart, and his pure heart guide our path and our words today. Kuhu kuya tumbi lanyon dape nuno ben yatsonu to nu xiajong xialo xiada yo peluke pecholu nuno. Watch out. Now I would like to introduce Danny Raju, who will be our MC today. Danny Raju is a poet based in Muwekma and Ramaytush Ohlone land, known as the San Francisco Bay Area. Danny is a student of the human experience and is grateful for the legacy of queer and trans BIPOC creatives who have challenged injustice through their art. They hope to write alongside poets seeking liberation, and their work can be found in Kundiman and Asian American feminist collective Zine To Us and Ours, and Right Now San Francisco's anthology Essential Truths, The Bay Area in Color. Please welcome Danny, and Danny, please take it from here.
Thank you, Pacyinz. Welcome, everyone. I have the easy job, which is to introduce you all to our wonderful readers tonight and our artists tonight. A couple logistics to get out of the way. If closed captioning is helpful for you, you can go look down approximately here on your YouTube, and there's something that says CC right next to the little settings gear sign. And if you click that, it'll show closed captioning to make this a little bit more accessible. And then you'll notice that we also have, I'm actually not sure which side, a live chat. So you folks are welcome to engage. Poets for sure. Love to hear what you're resonating with, and feel free to drop lines in the chat or reflect on what's coming up for you. And then you're welcome to leave comments if you're watching this later. We're going to be leaving links in the description below for the 3 causes that Pacyinz is mentioned earlier and that we're donating for. So we'll make sure to kind of bomb the chat with that every once in a while so that you have that link. And I think that's it for me. I'm going to introduce our next person, who's Roy Matsnaga, who's the treasurer of the Slants Foundation, one of the ones that we're donating for tonight, and is an audit senior manager at Deloitte, as well as a singer, songwriter, and guitarist. He's here to share a bit about the Slants Foundation. Thanks so much, Roy.
Thank you. On behalf of the Slants Foundation, thanks to everybody who's here participating and donating tonight. We really appreciate the support. The Slants Foundation is dedicated to advancing the arts and promoting the development and empowerment of ethnic minorities. Over the past few years, we've engaged in projects including providing grants to artists to help counter the wave of anti-Asian racism that has appeared in the last couple years, as well as other fantastic programs, a ongoing think tank series to help connect artists of color and brainstorm and give them tangible skills to advance their careers. And most recently, we hosted a groundbreaking virtual music conference called BIPOC Music that was designed specifically for musicians of color to teach relevant, practical, scalable skills for developing their careers in arts and activism. Your donations tonight will help to go towards promoting similar programs and advancing our mission of providing a voice for artists of color to engage in activism with their art. Thank you so much, and enjoy the show.
All right. Thank you, Roy. So we'll get into the art right now. I'm going to introduce Ishle Park and read a little bit of her bio. Ishle Yi Park, aka Lani, is the first woman to become Poet Laureate of Queens. She's an award-winning poet, singer, hula dancer, surfer, certified yoga teacher, Lomi Lomi practitioner, and mommy. Over the past decade, Ishle has traveled around the world reading poetry, singing, and playing music at over 300 music festivals, colleges, cafes, and cultural venues around the world, including the Auckland International Writers Festival, Poetry Africa, the Singapore Writers Festival, and many, 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 many more. So big welcome. We can hear you clapping from your homes to Ishle. Take us away. Thank you.
Aloha. Hope everybody is doing well today. I feel so blessed and honored to be here with such an amazing and talented group of Asian American poets. So big thanks to the Slants Foundation and to Pacyinz and everybody who's here. I'm so grateful to be here. And I just wanted to share, and I'll share some poems and songs, and I wanted you to know about our particular fundraiser here in Hawaii. We are raising money to grow a food forest, healing center, and artist residency here on the Big Island of Hawaii. So they'll put a link. The actual campaign is launching on Tuesday. So if you put your email in, then we'll give you more information. There's perks for early investors, including time at the artist residency once it's built. And this really came to me because as an artist, it was always so crucial to have the time and space to create as a person of color, as an Asian American. And so artist residencies were really key for me to develop my own work, including my novel, which took a while to make, but is finally here. So I want to give that opportunity to other artists around the world, BIPOC artists, local and also international, and create a healing space on the islands where people can give back to the Aina by planting and taking care of our gardens there, and also have their space and time to create. So I really pray that this manifests and that you can help be a part of that journey. So that's just a little bit about that, and then we'll go into some music. So this has been on my heart for a while. I really feel like it's part of my life purpose. And it's reflected in this song that I wrote called Garden when I used to be a teacher at Kanui Kapono charter school in Anahola and Kauai. And we would grow gardens together. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this song. Teach all you to grow deep roots. Live as one children under just sun. Let's teach our youth to grow deep roots. Live as one children under just sun. Water all our flowers and fruits, give them sunshine from above. So when the harvest time comes, you know it's dry love. Let's water all our flowers and fruits, give them sunshine from above. So when the harvest time comes, you know it's dry love. We are one tree with our roots deep in our ancestors' pure love. They love us without spirits high like branches that kiss the sky. Our children are flowers, our children are fruit. Let's bear good fruit. Live aloha, pura vida. Live aloha, pura vida. Okay, chihu. Mahalo nui loa. God bless. I feel our ancestors in the room with us today. So thank you, everyone, for joining from all around. And I will pass it back to Danny. Aloha.
All right. Thank you. So, if you're seeing me looking to the side, I'm making sure I'm following here. That was absolutely gorgeous. Isle was so gorgeous that I lost my place in where we were. All right. I am going to introduce Lingao Lifong, who is the youngest son of Panya Touby Lyfoung. His father was the most respected Hmong community leader and highest-ranking Hmong official in the Kingdom of Laos government. Lenggao Lifong was just 18 years old when his father was politically disappeared in 1975. Despite his family grief and the challenges of becoming a refugee, Lenggao built a good life in France and in the US. When he is not babysitting his grandchildren, he is a community activist ensuring that his father's legacy is not forgotten. Welcome, Lenggao.
Hi, do you hear me?
You're great.
Okay. First, thank you, Danny. And I didn't see Joe, but I would like to thank you, Joe, for helping me setting the video so I can participate in this meeting. Hi, everyone. I'm not an artist, but as Danny just said, I'm going to talk about my father's. So the foundation, the Tubalifum Foundation. First, as Paying said previously, or Danny said previously, I'm the youngest son of late Panya Touby Lyfoung. And as our schedule is tight, I'm going to talk very quickly about the foundation. The Tubalifum Foundation was created in 2011 in California and has main goal proposed, like first to preserve the legacy of my father, Panya Touby Lyfoung, on his achievement to raise the status of the Hmong people in Laos. Secondly, to help Hmong youth in their studies. Third, to follow the health and healthcare needed by the Hmong community. And finally, to find his remains for the Hmong traditional burial. So, who's Touby Lyfoung or Panya Touby Lyfoung? Touby Lyfoung was born in 1917 in a Hmong village in the mountain of Laos. At that time, Laos was a French protectorate, and Hmong people who migrate from China after the Opium War were considered immigrants. They lived in the mountains, didn't speak Lao, nor were Buddhists as the Lao people. Touby's father, Lyfoung, in the photo one that I sent to Joe. Can Joe show it? No? No. Yeah, so I don't know if you see it, but he was convinced that education, yes, the education was the path for a better life. So he sent his children to school instead of the field crops in 1924. You have the photo number 2. Yeah, this is Lyfoung and his 4 sons. My father is the one on the, let's say for me, it's on the left side. So Touby Lyfoung, with his contact to the communities through his studies, made him aware of the backwardness of the Hmong people and the lack of autonomy of not being citizen of the country. In 1940, after the French appointed him as the Tasang, or the sub-district chief, he built the first infirmary and the first public school for the Hmong people. He was about 23 years old. Freedom lover, he led his Hmong supporters or followers to fight the Japanese, then the communist Viet Minh, alongside the King of Laos and the French since 1945. In 1947, as the Chao Muang, and this is the picture number 3 here, of county chief, he developed education for the Hmong and encouraged them to settle in the plains and in the cities for a less harsh way of life and a better relationship with the other communities. He demonstrated to the Lao officials and the French that Hmong people were organized, responsible, and respectful of their word. in 1949, when the Laos became independent, Hmong people and all minority living in Laos before 1947 and who didn't have any other nationality before were granted Laos citizenship. And this is an achievement of my father. It was an unprecedented advance toward equal rights and other socio-economic aspects of life for the Hmong people. The king bestowed him the honorific title of Panya. That's why sometimes you heard Panya Touby Lyfoung. And Panya is the Lao word equivalent to the Great Britain's Lord. In April 1955, he sent his warrior to rescue the French army in Dien Bien Phu, but France lost the battle before their arrival. That same year, he welcomed in his village the Hmong and Thai Nam refugees from the communist North Vietnam. In 1958, and this is the picture, convinced that parliamentary way was the best opportunity to peacefully settle political dispute, he decided to run and won the seat of the Siang Kuang, and he was elected vice president by his pair. He successfully won the vote of two main motions: the end of the dual exchange rate of the US dollar, which was a source of corruption, and the delivery of official information in Hmong and Khmer, the two main minority languages on the National Broadcasting Radio, which he implemented when he was appointed Secretary of State of Information. In the photo 5, yeah. And in January 1975, the US and the North Vietnam signed the Paris Peace Accord that ended the US-Vietnam War, but marked, for me, the capitulation of the free war to the communist bloc. From April 1974 to November 1975, Touby Lyfoung was member of the government, following a peace accord between the two political parties in Laos. In April 17 and 30, 75, Phnom Penh, the capital of Cambodia, and Saigon, the capital of South Vietnam, successfully fell to the hands of the communists, and the panic gained Laos. Many people began to flee the country, including some very high-ranking right-wing civil and military officers. But Touby Lyfoung, faithful to his principle, decided not to seek asylum abroad, but to do his duty and to stay with the majority of the Hmong people who remained in the country and to help them the best he could, and out of respect for the king. On November 27, the Nalo Haksat, the leftist Lao, overthrew the government, forced the king to abdicate, and declare the Republic of Laos. Touby Lyfoung was arrested and sent to a sub house. It's a Lao gulag in the northern Laos near the Vietnam border, where he never returned. On March 27, 1985, the Lao communists notified Touby Lyfoung's family that he passed away of illness on August 12, 1979, with no motion about his remains. In his memoir, Another Prisoner, the former Colonel Kamakanti, in his book, Get to the Trunk, Destroy the Roots, who was in the same gulag as my father, and eyewitness wrote that my father was killed in April 1979 by Nalo Haksat's soldier. So in recent years, the Tubalifum Foundation worked with the Southeast Asia Monitor and Human Rights and Justice on the request of Panya Tubalifung's remain, and has given yearly scholarships to the Hmong American Education Fund based in Minnesota. Thank you, and I'm very pleased to have to see and meet all of you. Yeah, if any question, just ask Pacyinz, because Pacyinz is the president of the foundation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lenggao, for that history lesson. And I can really feel the love in your family and so much honor and respect for ancestry, and that I feel really inspired as I think about my people too. So thank you so much, Lenggao, and beautiful photos of your family. So with that, folks, welcome. Reminder that you can put your reactions in the chat and we can kind of highlight them as you're seeing here. We'd love to hear what you're thinking and feeling. Our next person up is going to be Pacyinz, who you just saw. Pacyinz Lyfoung is a French-born, Minnesota-grown Hmong Asian American poet. She's grateful to have emerged as an artist with the Hmong American literature movement and the Asian American Renaissance in the Twin Cities. Her writing journey has taken her through BIPOC writing space, such as Voices of Our Nations, VONA, Winter Tangerine, and the BIPOC Writing Party, where she is currently co-host. It's an amazing space. Please join it. During the pandemic, she could spend more time on her poetry. She has developed as a DC poet, being a finalist in the DC Poet Project and winning her first DC Arts grant. She is thankful to have taught her first poetry class through the Loft in Minnesota and to read with her students tonight. In the coming years, she will use poetry advocacy to raise awareness and support her family's efforts to find the remains of her grandfather, who was politically disappeared in 1975 that we just heard about. Her family hopes to finally be able to give a proper farewell to their beloved patriarch, who was an unforgettable Hmong community leader and high-level official in the Kingdom of Laos. Being able to bring some justice and closure to her grandfather, Touby Lyfoung, should also promote greater democracy and respect of human rights in the Lao PDR and in the Southeast Asian region. Welcome, Pacyinz. Excited to hear your art.
Thank you very much, Danny. Thank you, Uncle Gao, Tonton Gao, for presenting the information and the picture about my grandfather, Touby Lyfoung. I'm one of his oldest grandchildren from his second wife. And I guess, I should show the picture. I'm told that I'm very fortunate because I'm one of his few grandchildren that actually has a picture with him. And it's been a process of trying to, I guess, find out who he was and then also what happened to him. The last picture that my uncle actually showed, it's a picture that I found on the internet as I was just searching for Touby Lyfoung, who is a notable person. And I saw the picture and I thought, I never saw the picture before. And then I looked up the photographer and I contacted him. And we believe that it may have been the last picture that was taken of my grandfather before he was disappeared. And it was striking because, of course, I guess he was taken by a stranger first of all, but also maybe it was the sign of a time he looked, of course, sad. So it was, I think it was one of the first steps that I took to find out more about my grandfather and really uncover traces of him. In preparation for this event, I wrote a new poem, and it's approved by my family. So I'm so happy that I'm able to be a family and a community poet. This is the premiere of a poem, so I'm also very, I guess, glad to be able to share it in this space with all the amazing artists from the Slants Foundation, from the BIPOC Writing Party, and from my Southeast Asian poetry class, who are all the artists that I am so glad to be developing and growing with. Touby's Ghazal, 2021. Once in history comes a man who will change the map for his people, wonderkind to be. At least once in this lifetime, dream the impossible, do justice for the disappeared, find to be. What is a Hmong love song? Too delicate for words, more like a breath, blowing on a blade of leaf, like a mouth harp vibrating against soft lips trembling in the night, a song of our kind to be. What is the love of a Hmong man for his Hmong people? His home grows bigger than a house, bigger than a village, and soon becomes a country where his people stand equal in kind to be. While no aquamarine ocean breathes next to my ancestors' lands, and only mountains and rivers stamp the end of their world, his brave deeds tide over like a bridge to the rest of mankind to be. When there is no salt in their land with no sea, the blood of my ancestors sickens, searching down the mountains for that white crystal is the hero's medicine journey made by wonderkind to be. When no trails cross the emerald walls of the forests of my ancestors' mountains, one cuts one's path there and grow rock-hard feet, rubbing skin with Mother Earth, getting strong, kind to be. When French Indochina dissolved, the kingdom of Laos, of a million elephants and the white parasol, in ivory silk and gold glittered in the morning sun. Along marched its loyal and new citizen kind to be. Red against white, the left and the right wings kept flying in opposite directions. Officially neutral Laos shook with secret wars, holding tight the breaking pieces of his country, mastermind to be. From Vientiane to Vientiane, Valang went with his grandfather to a military hotel. A week turned into winter. Valang came home alone. Not allowed to return, lost in a whirlwind to be. From Xiangquang to Yangtze, pilot Samtakun flew officials. He carried back a letter from the one who was not allowed to go home, who wrote his dear wife, "Flee and don't look behind to be." What is the name of a betrayal that boasts a bloodless transition? Does it bleed if no one can hear a scream? Do they disappear if their allies keep their mouths shut? Oh, how valiant and kind to be. What is the name of a place where they bury the disappeared? There, a forest bound by a river washes my aunt's hands and cries, praying, please keep in your heart and mind to be. On the one side, the river raged with water dragons. On the other side, the Vietnamese border chilled them, a 30-mile-long cage where the winners shed their humankind to be. I saw a picture of a building where my grandfather was disappeared, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. The windows pierced like 1,000 eyes weeping, unbind to be. Even the trees remember and feed the ancient stumps of fallen companions to keep them alive long after they're gone. We too shall keep the memories of our ancestors, never forgotten, kind to be. Your daughter did not cross the river crossed her grief. And here I am, writing her story. which is your story, which is my story, and our stories start with no end until we find Touby. What is a Hmong love song? Wrinkled and paper-thin, it is this hope to find under the green umbrella of a tree the sacred space where you are waiting after 46 years for us to find Touby. Thank you very much.
Wow, Pacyinz. I was like scribbling down lines of that, and there were so many that A, I can't read my handwriting, and B, it was the whole poem. I think there was something about you saying, like rubbing skin on Mother Earth, where there's just a really comforting, deeply painful, and abrasive way that truth shows up in your poem, and how powerful it is that Touby is found in the poem, even if he's not found in body or in mind. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you very much, Dan.
All right, we are gonna transition. Thank you so much, Pacyinz, for that. You're gonna hear my cat crying in a second. If you were thinking after hearing Ishle's music earlier and saying, oh my gosh, I wish I could hear just a couple more songs, we are responding to that wish and we felt it. So this is Isle with a couple more songs for us. Thank you so much. Take us away.
Aloha, Danny. Thank you, Pacyinz. That was beautiful and heart moving. And, we're all here because we love our families and our communities, and we're trying to connect even in these crazy times. So that is so lovely to me. And my own mom just flew in from the mainland today. So I definitely feel the elders and the presence like here in the room and with us. So I think we're doing beautifully given the circumstances. Yeah. So this song is a love song called Milk and Honey. It's on my Grassroots album. And it's about the first time I ever planted a tree with a boy who I loved. And it was very moving to me. And so this fundraiser is so we can all plant trees together here in Hawaii. And I was a New Yorker. I grew up in the city. I did not know all my plants used to die. And so I really believe that if I can do it, we all can. It's all a matter of just getting in the dirt and, getting with the earth. So I hope you enjoy this song. It's called Milk and Honey. We're on a journey to the stars. I've loved you from afar. 'Cause you planted a seed of love in my heart. Oh, darling, saranghe, just the way you are. Welcome to our land of milk and honey. So sweet, no need stress about no money. Cause you drink my milk, I taste your honey, and we're growing a paradise. The islands you see. coconut tree. Laugh and dance and sing, kicking by the sea. And I see you, darling, you see me, and we're growing a paradise on the islands you see. Chee-hoo. So I hope you enjoyed that song. Mahalo nui loa for your kind comments. And then this other song is also about taking care of the land. And here in Hawaii, we have a saying, aloha aina, which is to love the land. And that's really what this project, this fundraiser is about. And just something that we pray happens more, is just loving the land. I wrote this after the last flow. We live on a volcanic island, and our fire goddess Pele was flowing. We were uprooted and we had to move. During that time, it was very tumultuous, but the way our community came together to help each other was so moving to me. So yeah, that's where this song comes from, and I hope you enjoy. Through fire and water, through wind and rain, through lava and flood, I'm here for you, my friend. Through fire and water, through wind and rain, lava and flood, I love you, my dear friend. Mama Gaia is calling for cleansing. Tutu Pele creating new earth, purifying our aina for new world rebirth. Oh, I said, wake up, my people. It's time to green the earth, my children, 'cause we're blessed to be alive. We grow seed by seed, baby, we grow tree by tree, darling, we grow seed by seed, baby, we grow tree by tree, darling. Aloha aina, mahalo ke akua, aloha ke akua. Aloha aina, mahalo ke akua, aloha ke akua. It's time to replant, rebuild, regrow. It's time to trust in our hearts. We know we are the ones we've been waiting for, and we're blessed by God for sure. Yeah, we are the ones we've been waiting for, and we're blessed by God for sure. Okay. God bless you all. Aloha.
Thank you. So I love that your music is also dance and choreography. It feels, I can feel your body moving with the kind of song it is. Thank you so much. I could
Thank
feel
you, Danny.
everyone in the room swaying, and we were all swaying off video. Thank you, Iso. All right.
God bless.
So our next amazing artist is Hedy Tripp. So I'm going to share with y'all a little bit about Hedy. Hedy Tripp, she, her, hers, is an elder with the Coalition of Asian American Leaders in Minnesota. A published poet, writer, and memoirist, Hedy draws on her rich life experiences as a Singaporean Eurasian, immigrant, and wife, mother, and grandmother to a fiercely social justice activist, Black and multicultural family. She is a retired lecturer in Asian American ethnic studies and continues her work as an anti-racist activist. Tripp has performed spoken word presentations locally, around the nation, and globally. Her poems have appeared online and in several publications, including Lyricality in St. Cloud, Minnesota Women's Press, and Minasian Stories, and many, many, many more. Big welcome to Hedy. Take us away.
Thank you. Thank you, Danny. You're an amazing MC. I want to offer you this evening poems on spirit power and indigenous, the real shamans. On volcanic rims, strong spirits sit, jutting rocks their sleeping stones. Limestone caves illuminate their frames, overlooking valleys of their bones. They are not ghosts of ephemeral field. They give life to nature's tremendous power. Isel's water, air, wind, and fires, wrapping around Earth's many spires. The indigenous people recognize them, animating the inanimate, giving names that empower, using plants that spread that magic potency. Leaves bundled and dipped into sacred waters from mountain springs, bless newborn children, warding off evil things. The shamans respect these spiritual forces. They channel the ancestral spirits to scold or to bless their people. Drums from teak reverberate, old metal barrels pound, cymbals beat with sticks and flip-flop slippers. The haunting rhythm of the kulintang and the gondang, calling on the spirits to take human form. In the sacred darkness of the night, trees throb with synchronized light of 1,000 fireflies. My first experience of being in the presence of a shaman was more than 40 years ago in a village called Hudaginjang of the Batak peoples. And the village sits on the side of a sacred mountain, Pusuk Buhit, rising from one of the largest crater lakes in the world, Lake Toba in Sumatra, Indonesia. And the shaman there was blind. He was blinded at a young age from the ravages of smallpox, but he had taught himself the drums to speak to the ancestral spirits. The shaman's cries rise above the gondang drums and sarunes. He does not need to see. He feels the feet that pound cadences below on the undulating wooden floor, vibrating timber joints, shaking the skeleton of the Batak house. Longing for answers for their needs, the people dance, bodies writhing in throes of possessive spirits. The shaman drums their supplications to ancestral years. He brings down the umpasas, the ancient words of wisdom, to willing arms, waving at fevered pitch. And I want to share some of these wisdoms, and forgive me if I mispronounce the Batak words. It's been a long time. Remember, I'm an elder. Anyway, Mubatano, Mubaduhut, Mubahalak, Mubaadat. Different lands, different plants, different people, different cultures, different values, different perspectives, right? Or messages of healing. Sineat nuraut, gambiatata doana. Sineat nihata, juhut doana. If a knife has caused a wound, chew the fresh gambia nut with salt and place that masticated paste upon the cut. That is the cure. But if a word causes injury, then the offering of meat is the cure, the traditional medicine of apology. And then there's always reminders. Erme sitambatua palingoma nisiborok. Tuba maanak dohot boru hamu. Sayum punta debata namarorot. A cup of dried rice, a shelter for the tadpole. Give birth to sons and daughters to worship the ancestors. And that is the worshiping and respect for ancestors is so much part of this celebration that we bring to you. Many years later, in 2011, on a study tour to Mindanao, and that's in southern Philippines, I was once again in the presence of a shaman. They invited us to cross over into that spirit world. Their smile and touch released my body from this dimension. My mind followed with no apprehension. Spirals of ribboned light spraying crystal waters. I screamed, I laughed, I flailed, I scratched. Orgasmic heights possessed my every cell. They had to hold me down. But my spirit writhed, unrestrained. I entered into another realm. It had no time. Just a clear night sky floated by the spirit boat, festooned with red and yellow flags bearing gifts, an egg, a leg of chicken, a crocodile of glutinous rice, for ancestors I never knew existed. I sat with them, my head cradled in wisps of their arms. They talked of life, how food was only physical, the egg, the beginning and end, the chicken leg, I can't remember, maybe my travels, and the crocodile, the spirit of the river, going down endless generations to the sea that connected me to the shores of my archipelago. This Mindanoan Ipat ritual let me enter that space between life, death, and life again. I did not want to leave. Thank you. Back to you, Danny.
Thank you, Hedy. I felt I forgot where I was, and I felt the lights kind of going down and just hearing every scene that you were describing. And as usual, I think your writing was so powerful in going from the teeny tiny concrete vivid imagery of a paste or a medicine all the way to the whole spiritual world. So thank you so much, Hedy. So much traveling we did with you there. So it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our next poet, who is Katherine Antarikso, she, her, who is an architect by day and a poet by night. She was born on the island of Java, but does not drink coffee. She moved to the United States at the age of 10 to a small college town in central Pennsylvania. She writes poetry and essays focused on themes of home, migration, and displacement. As an architect, she is interested in issues of equity in the design of urban spaces. She also performs traditional Indonesian dance and plays in a gamelan ensemble in Philadelphia. In her spare time, she loves taking walks around the city and sketching her favorite row homes. All right, thank you so much, Katherine.
Thank you, Danny, for that introduction. And thank you, Hedy, for taking us to Sumatra and the Philippines. And now we're going to Indonesia. So the first poem that I'm going to read is one that I wrote with our workshop with the rest of the poets here. And it's called Lost. I search my memories to reclaim the land that I have lost. Memories mined and found in a garland of jasmine traveling down long black hair, water buffalo caked into mud, frantic bats greeting the night, Allahu Akbar crackling through the loudspeaker, the perfume of plumeria in the air, sucking on sugarcane freshly cut from the fields. The banyan tree where our ancestors live holds all of our stories. I came across the banyan tree in this foreign land, a familiar sight, but my body knows, my ancestors knew, the banyan tree does not belong here. It belongs with me, back on my island. We know we belong together. And Indonesian is my mother tongue. Indonesia, my mother. My mother speaks Indonesian to me still. English is my father tongue. US aid made my father who only speaks to me in English now. Javanese, my grandmother tongue, who taught me to be a gadis manis and speak softly. Dutch, my grandfather tongue, my grandfather who spoke in the language of the colonizer whose tongue he needed to survive. Madura, my ancestor tongue, a warrior tongue, but the prince fled from the island that was his home so that he would not fight his own people. My grandfather is Dutch-tongued, Dutch-schooled, turned Dutch fighter, Japanese fighter, empire fighter, a soldier, a Javanese Madurese warrior, double-tongued, triple-tongued, quadruple-tongued. My mother, Indonesia, birthed me in her soil. My roots formed my native tongue, but I was harvested too soon. My father is English tongue. We come to English from my professor father who teaches his own people in English, a foreign language, not his father tongue. My Javanese family whispered their first tongue in my ear, peppered their Indonesian with Javanese words, and I, who don't know any better, do the same. The Javanese are sweet-tongued, oozing sugar cane out of their mouths. Sweet sugar they paid their lives for, a spicy sweetness, a biting one. And what of the Madura, who now speaks the Madurese tongue? What of the tongue of the fighters and warriors? Absorbed into the sugar tongue, the warrior in me suppressed because the sweetness in me has been prized. They ask me, do you speak Bahasa? And I laugh because they are asking, do I speak language? But they insist they know the name of my language is language. And I howl with bitter laughter because all that is left of my native tongue is a smolder, an ember in a fire, my tongue stunted, frozen in a time capsule, and English is the only surviving tongue. Thank you.
I'm just shaking my head because that was unreal, Catherine. I had not heard your poetry before, and for folks who are watching, I think Katherine Antarikso is a poet you need to know. There was so much richness in that, so much richness, and there was such a depth of emotion. I felt so many different things, kind of it reminded me of when things have a flavor that's so deep that you can't necessarily describe it. That's how I felt about your poetry. Thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you, Danny.
Absolutely. So next up, we have a favorite of mine. Erme Maula is grounded in social justice and strives to support everyone moving forward in their lives, regardless of their challenges. She believes that everything is interconnected, and by understanding our woven histories, we can begin to work to dismantle oppression and work towards a just world. Erme is an advocate, educator, doula, and nurse. Many of her essays exist mainly in her mind and need to make their way to paper. She is a survivor of many traumatic things, but always seems to find light through the darkness. When avoiding writing, she can be found crafting, gardening, cooking, or finding ways to have amazing conversations. Y'all are so lucky to have Erme tonight. Welcome, Erme.
Thanks, Danny. I have just 3 short poems today to share with you. It's an honor to be with my fellow poets and writers. So here goes. To my mother. Your bags moved from Mindoro province to loud bells in Manila for nursing school, then across the sea to Philadelphia. Again, your hands steadied, your mind explored, and your heart wedded, and then your womb grew big. 4 children in 3 states, working alone, your husband out to sea for 6 months' time. Survive you did, no other choice to make. Support your family migration here. Your mother, father, sisters, Kuya, same. Your stories told of time before my life, but now you cannot tell us how love fades. You rest beside Lola and Lolo too. Above, your soul watches over us. Balikbayan, Hindi. When I step out of the airport, I'm faced with a sea of hundreds of faces pressed up against a chain link fence that looked exactly like me. Never in my life had I been in a crowd of people who were as tall, as dark, as squished nosed with bowl cuts as me. The first moment, I am terrified. If I were alone, I might just leave with someone named Uncle. But I am thankful for traveling with my auntie, who knew to put US dollars in our passports as we go through customs. Gifts or bribes, to ignore the big screen TV packed into balikbayan boxes as our checked luggage. I was thankful that she was from here and spoke the language and was not afraid to move through the sea of people probing us. I am not balikbayan. I am not returning home. I do not speak the language. I am a foreigner in this homeland. Then me. My name is simple and it is mine. 4 letters divided in 2 and pronounced each separately. Then me. Most people want to make it fancy or French, but I am neither. Some make it or Irma, but both are wrong. Then me. Named for my father after 2 sisters were born, wanting a son, they gave me the name. My father wanted Hermenegilda, the female version of his name, but my mother said no. They shortened his nickname a little shorter for me. Then me. But I didn't always know this was my name until I went to school and a white teacher called it out, and I guessed it was me. Before then, I was Malin, shortened for my baptismal name, Lynn. Erme Lynn became Ermelyn, and then just Malin. My swimming certificates say Erme Maula, and that was what my Filipino family called me. Family not blood related, but the only other people I knew, because I didn't have American friends. The 2nd grade teacher asked individually for our middle names, and I had to admit that I wasn't sure what it was. Then me, then Lynn, then my mom's maiden name. I dreamed of getting married and keeping my last name because we didn't have any brothers to carry on our family name. When we thought we would have children, I dreamed of their middle name being my partner's family name to keep with the tradition of Spanish colonizers. Baby name, Haggerty Maula. But children were not in our cards, so our name will not live on. But I like my name. It is strong and small and simple, yet complex, just like me. Then me, then mom's maiden name, then dad's family name. Erme Katapang Maula. Thank you.
Thank you, Erme. Then me. I was gonna say something specific to these poems that you shared tonight, but I think my comment is true of all of your poems, which is that Erme's poetry is like a slap in the face that you really needed to wake up. I really feel that every time, and every time I'm like, thank you so much, Erme, for slapping me in the face. I really needed that. Thank you, Erme. Just a reminder to folks that we are fundraising tonight. We're going to drop the link in the chat again. If you like what you're seeing and want to support the amazing causes that we talked about tonight, here's the link right here in front of me. And then we'll also have that in the description as well. Thank you so much for being with me. This is the last time you're going to see me. So start crying now. I'm going to transition us into Isle is going to do some final set for us. So we're going to get to be graced with a little bit more music. And thank you so much.
Aloha. Thank you. This has been so beautiful. It's really touching to hear everybody's personal stories through their poetry. And I love events like this where we gather together. Even if it's virtually, I feel it in my heart. So mahalo. So, like I was telling you earlier, artist residencies have really helped me be able to have the time and space to grow my work and, get into the world of these characters. So this book, Angel and Hana, took over 10 years to write because I was a single mother, working class, growing up in Hawaii. But some of the residencies that really helped me to grow my book were the Salt and Stall Foundation in New York, New Pacific Studios, Blue Mountain Center in upstate New York. New Pacific Studios is in New Zealand. And though it didn't help me with this book, I really had a great time at Hedgebrook Writers Colony up in Whidbey Island. So we are planning, and the goal is to create a space like that on the Big Island of Hawaii, where writers and artists can come and work on their particular projects. This book is a love story and is based on my own first love that happened, which lasted 10 years, but it's fictionalized and turned into, a novel. And in this story, it spans 4 seasons, so a year, and it's about a young Korean American girl named Hana and an angel who is a Puerto Rican boy. And so I'll just read you a couple sonnets and poems from each chapter. And I wanted to write this book so that wherever you flip, you'll be able to find a small bit of their lives. So they're written in sonnets, free verse, hip hop bars, but each page is like its own little story. So I'll start when Quinceañera sonnet, which is when Hana first meets Angel and how. So it goes like this. On Friday nights, Karina and Hana drink Old Ease on a peeling green bench at 109th Street Park till an amber, foamy buzz blurs the dark edges of night. They watch boys shoot hoops like lean, heartless seraphim, then test the chain link swings, Nike soles pointed towards heaven, towards star-shaped leaves. Sometimes she wonders why they spend sunsets preening like 2 peacocks, shadows huge on an abandoned playground. But tonight, there's somewhere else to go. Tasha's Sweet 15 in St. Mary's Church basement. Hana licks her lips, draws on scarlet liner. She puckers, paints herself darker, more dangerous, a girl who can scar in the shape of a kiss. Okay, so that one is Quinceañera sonnet. I have family walking in and out, so it's a little disturbing, so sorry about that. This song is called Arirang. It's a song, and it goes into the poem. And Arirang is a Korean song that everybody knows. Thank you, Tamiko, who's Korean pretty much. And it's an old love song, very passionate, a little tragic. So you know how we do. We like all that drama. So it starts with that, and it goes into the poem. I hope you enjoy. Arirang, arirang, arario. 아리랑 고개를 넘어간다. 나를 버리고 가시는 님은 시니도 못 가서 발병난다. In the old Korean song, one lover leaves another on Arirang Mountain. You won't walk 10 li away from me without an ache in your feet, she sings, because that is the nature of love. Memories live on, make a home inside a body. It's wisdom from Hana's home country, from women who love in moon villages far from the sea. When Hana's mother left Korea with Hana in her belly, she stole that song across the ocean and sang it as lullaby as she bathed Hana's young skin. Years later, Hana hums Arirang on her way to meet her first lover. From the moon village of Queens to the moon village of Brooklyn. April, Aigu, Paraminata. A fresh wind blows inside her. Last night, the wind shook mimosas on 5th, so she walks on pink petals to meet him. So that's a little bit about how they meet, and then the story progresses and there's a lot of drama, but I'm going to go into one that's kind of loving. And there is talk about making this into a movie, so there's been interest. If there are any Asian American filmmakers out there who are interested, I'm totally open to talking and collaborating, because I feel like we need more of our representation and interracial love stories up on the screen. So let's make it happen. This one is called Love 101, and this is from Hannah's point of view. Remember, she's like 16. These are the ways you love a man, in the details. Cooking his eggs well done, but not burnt. Moving his radio to the shower, because he likes his Hot 97 in the morning. Drying your feet before stepping out the tub, because he can't stand a wet floor. Letting him hold open all doors. Walking on sidewalks facing street for some chivalry that says you ain't for sale. Dealing with phone bills and unopened junk mail. Kissing slow from crown to his toes, all 126 of his freckles, his 22 scars. Telling him, I love you, under the star you. Never teasing his too early to be balding temples. Popping his pimples, watching his eyelids shift in sleep. Moving closer like you're his for all time to keep. Okay. So that's another one. I hope you enjoy. And then we're just going to go towards the end and read. This one is called Gold Hoops, and it's a poem for all young women out there who are, trying to love themselves and, on that journey to self-love. So this is for you, sisters. It was for me as a girl growing up, and I hope you enjoy. Gold Hoops. One day, she will be brave enough to venture away from her huge gold hoops and bodysuits, from parroting her mean friend's laughter, or sitting on that stoop for hours trying to look half fly, half tough, sucking on a sour apple blow pop, listening to the boombox spit out hip hop. One day, she will look at her rough, scarred face in the compact mirror without her MAC eyeliner and stop hating those young, haunted eyes. I hope a slant of gold light will hit her cheek just right, and it may come as a surprise to her how fine she really is. Fabulous, sleek, soulful, full of her own juju and mystique, a rose fury, gold lightning when she hits the street. Okay, I hope you enjoyed. This book is for sale. You're welcome to go find it on Amazon or any independent bookstore. And I also wanted to put a call out there, because right now I am also collecting poems for a BIPOC Book of Joy and superheroes collection. And some of the people actually in this group are in that wonderful collection. So if you are a writer of color, emerging or established, and you would like to contribute to this collection, please feel free to email me at kehaulanimusic.com. And, we'd love to have your voice included in this collection about joy, because we need more joy in this world. So God bless you all. I wanted to, just do a little. Maybe we can do an Om together. Is this where we're going to do it? Or maybe we can all come together and be on the same vibration to do an Om. So thank you so much, Erme, Pacyinz, Hedy, Katherine, and all the wonderful people who are gathered here today, virtually and in person and around the world, around the country. So maybe we can all do an Om together to kind of be on the same vibration. Does that sound good? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Aloha. Mahalo nui loa.
Thank you so much. I think we'll let Pacyinz close us out.
Thank you, Danny. I love how you said before that would be the last time I would see you, and then we get the chance to see you one more time. So that's awesome. I really just want to thank everyone who made this evening possible. So the Slants Foundation, I told them, hey, I think we should do an event together because, you know, they're always artists, and I think it's going to be a great event. And then the Slants Foundation, so basically tries to not only develop new AAPI musicians and help them in their careers, but also really to support AAPI activism. And they do a lot of cool stuff like tech and events. So the way that we are doing this event is more like a music concert. Like all the technology is more like a music concert than a poetry thing. So it's been really interesting for like poets to learn that aspect. And I feel that that's what the Slant Foundation is doing. It's really taking AAPI artists in different spheres that we are not used to. So I'm very glad to, I guess, have them be one of the co-sponsors for this evening and help hopefully fundraise a little bit for the work that they do. I should say that Isle I saw many, many years ago in Minnesota. And when I saw her, I was thinking, oh, she's so fantastic. And I think a lot of, you know, AAPI young artists, when we saw Isle, we were thinking, we all want to be just like her, except we don't know how to play the guitar. So we'll never be that cool. But at least we can try to, you know, write beautiful poetry. So she's been an inspiration, and I am just so honored to like have her as, you know, as a guest, as well as the main artist with us tonight. And then I have all my students from my Southeast Asian poetry class. And what I realized as I was, which is what I had felt when we were teaching the class and learning together, is that we are creating a body of Southeast Asian American poetry. And AAPIs are so diverse and so, there are so many different voices, but one of the areas that has been missing, of course, has been Southeast Asian American. And I would say that I'm very thankful to Hedy, Erme, and Katherine for expanding my definition of Southeast Asian, because like a lot of people who came from the Vietnamese diaspora, usually when I was thinking about Southeast Asia, I was thinking about Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, Burma, but not so much about a little bit more south. So to have Singapore and Indonesia and the Philippines that are also Southeast Asia, I think it's very important. And I'm so glad that we were able to have that space to create those poems, and we also have this space to share this work with everyone. And then I also really wanted to thank Danny, because he's so cool. I mean, they're so cool. And I thought, if someone is going to, you know, MC this event, it should be that really kind and cool person. So we have Danny tonight. And I'm so glad that Roy Matsunaga was able to stop by and I guess say a few words about the Slants Foundation, taking time out of his busy week. And then, of course, my Uncle Gao, who shared stories and images of my grandfather, as well as the work that my family foundation is trying to do, and the fact that after 46 years, we are finally feeling more comfortable, but also it's the time to process the trauma of course, having your relative disappear, the patriarch of the family disappear, and finally being at a time and space when we are able to talk about him, and also talk about wanting to take action to try to find what happened to him and his remains, and of course in the Southeast Asian traditions and the Hmong tradition, being able to give a proper burial is very important. So we're hoping to be doing that. This program may be recorded, so I'm so glad that it may be available for, you know, others to watch later. I'm hoping that yes, people might find it in their heart to like support all the great causes that all the artists are trying to promote. So this is it. It took quite a bit of time to organize this, and as usual, you know, it goes so fast, but it was a lovely evening, and it really was made possible by all of you. So thank you very much for being with us tonight and for making this event and this evening happen.